Well, real life NFL trades are happening, and so are fantasy football ones. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this. Main thing that we need to talk about, of course, is Jacoby Myers getting dealt out of Las Vegas. We just had to move up Jack Besh in our rankings, where Jack Besh may actually be worth the roster spot in your league and for sure worth a draft pick if you're in best ball. And we also had to move up Thornton, and with Deonta Thornton, he actually looked like he was going to be a starting wide receiver already. And we moved Brock Bowers up to the beginning of round 2. Obviously, how you value the elite level tight end is going to be very dependent on what you have with your exact league settings. And we will be getting those updates for those exact draft sheets out on Friday. But let's go ahead, and we have a bunch of questions we need to answer on the site. I guess we can say Amari Cooper is signed as well. We have someone asking J.K. Dobbins or Amari. Now, I drafted some Amari Cooper in round 18 of Underdog Best Ball drafts, but the reality of the situation is Amari Cooper is not going to be relevant for your regular ESPN draft. He's not going to be relevant for your Yahoo League. He's not going to be relevant for your Sleeper League. Do not go out there and pick up Amari Cooper. It's not worth it unless you're in the deepest of deep formats, or if you're in a Dynasty League, of course. But let's go ahead and let's get this first start set question going. I'm sorry that it took us a little bit of time to get to this. We were going to get to all these earlier in the live stream, but I actually lost power during the stream. So we had to kind of call an audible here. And we actually had already answered this question from Nick. We are going to be starting Bo Nix in a good matchup against the Tennessee Titans week 1. And then if I remember right, looking through your options here, really for that flex spot, it's going to be between like RJ Harvey and Dallas Goedert. This is a deeper dynasty league. We're going to go with Harvey, but I would not expect Harvey to be super exciting week 1. And he's probably not going to have that role until the second half of the season. Now, J-Pie coming through with a trade where they are giving up Kamara and they are getting back RJ Harvey and Sam Laporta. So if you were playing in a shallower format, I would say that you probably just want to have the best player available here, which would be Alvin Kamara, especially if you have a really strong option at tight end like Tyler Warren. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cut Brenton Strange if you go through and make this deal. So it's really like Alvin Kamara and Brenton Strange versus RJ Harvey and Laporta. Running back, we have Hampton and Chase Brown to start early. You would hope that RJ Harvey takes over in the second half of the season. It is a fair deal for sure. Since you're playing in a deeper league, I'll go with the 2 starters, but for most shallow formats, I think I'd rather just have Alvin Kamara. And I know Amari Cooper technically has a path to be a wide receiver 1, but it's a bad offense. Brock Bowers is going to dominate targets. Ashton Genty is going to have a massive workload. We'll draft Amari tonight in some Underdog Best Ball drafts, but in your regular redraft league, like, how are you ever going to be able to get Amari Cooper into your starting lineup if he wasn't startable with Josh Allen and the Bills last year? Now, let's move this over to J Scout. Here, we need to start 2 flex plays. Cortland Sutton's going to be an auto start for us. And then I think we're going to go with Jalen Waddle as well. I mean, I think long-term, you're probably going to be starting like Trevion Henderson in the flex, but I don't necessarily think you need to do that week 1. Again, when in doubt, week 1, we are going to start the veteran that we've seen the track record from. And Young Dooley coming through. We need to start a flex here between Aaron Jones, Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers. Week 1, you have the Detroit Lions as 1.5 point dogs, which we've already discussed. Zay Flowers going to be playing the Buffalo Bills. That game should be the highest scoring game on the slate. I think we probably do end up going with Jamison Williams, but Zay Flowers is very, very close there. Okay. Now let's move this over. Jay Hendo coming through. This is a trade where we're sending Bowers and Henderson for Achane and Tyler Warren. Bowers and Achane are almost identical for me. I would way rather have Trevion Henderson over Tyler Warren. So especially post like Jacoby Myers news, I definitely want the Brock Bowers side of this deal. I don't think it's that close either, to be honest. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This one coming out from Alex. This is Zay Flowers, David Njoku versus Brian Robinson and Igbuka. I would rather have David Njoku over Brian Robinson. I think Zay Flowers and Igbuka are going to be the same, so we'll take Zay Flowers and David Njoku. I mean, Brian Robinson is almost a waiver wire running back at this point. He's just kind of the same as Tyler Algier. You'd never start him unless the starter were to go down ahead of him. So I don't think that we are going to be stressing too much there. Now, Lakey Dots coming out. I think that you intended for us to maybe start 1 wide receiver here. Week 1, I think Marvin Harrison would be the most exciting option. And then the second play I would have would be DJ Moore. I would rank these receivers for week 1, Harrison, Moore, Tet McMillan, and then Igbuka. Okay. Let's move this over. And Fantasy Jimbo says 12-team PPR, pick 109. A-Chance my keeper in the third round. Other keepers are Brian Thomas Jr., Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors. We are aiming for Nico, but if he's not available, how should I pivot? So let me go ahead and let me pull up the draft sheets real quick, just to make sure I'm giving you a good answer. And of course, if y'all don't already have the sheets, if y'all don't already have access to all the tools on the site, I would highly recommend you get the season pass. The 2025 Flock Fantasy season pass is only $34. It gets you access to legitimately every single tool on flockfantasy.com, including the trade calculator, the My Teams page, the trade finder, all the updated weekly rankings, all the updated rest of season rankings as well. And if you use code FLOCK, you're actually going to be getting free start sit questions and trade questions for me to answer in the live stream. And we're going to be streaming every single night until Christmas. So you can definitely come in and get a question answered when you need it. And you can always find the link to get that season pass in the description, comment section of these live streams. And also I'll send it out in the live chat right now as well. But looking at the draft sheet, obviously it's not going to be able to tell me exactly who we are going to be going with right this second, because if I am looking at the draft sheets we've made, they are for redraft leagues. And if you're playing in a keeper format, here's what I would recommend that you do. I would go ahead and before your draft even gets here, I would pull up whatever sheet is going to be applicable to your platform and your league settings. And then I would just go through and I would delete every player that is being kept from the draft sheet. So you have an updated draft board and you're good to go going into that draft. But if we're at the 109 and we already have A-Chant being kept, Brian Thomas Jr., Puka, and Malik Neighbors. So let's hypothetically run through this. It's a 12-team PPR, so we're not going to be using the 10-team half PPR sheet. Let's go ahead and let's say hypothetically it's an ESPN league, 12-team PPR. Let's use sheet 7. And let's say hypothetically we have no A-Chan, Brian Thomas Jr., Puka, and Neighbors. So let's remove Puka from this. Let's remove A-Chan from this. Let's remove Brian Thomas from this. And let's remove Malik Neighbors from this. If you're telling me those are the only keepers, at the 109, you should have a very clear path. Like you should have exciting players. So if we're looking at this, we have Chase 1, Bijan 2, Barkley 3, Gibbs 4, Jefferson 5, Lamb 6, CMC 7, St. Brown 8. You're saying that you're targeting Nico 9. If you want to go Nico over Genty here, I'm not going to fault you for it. So if we go, like, you should have either Nico at 9 or you should have like Amon-Ra St. Brown, CMC. Like one of those three players will be there. Now, how I would go about this is if you were in a single flex format, I would go with the running back. I would go ahead and take Ashton Genty. However, if you were in a double flex full PPR league, I would probably stick with the receiver. And if you don't get Nico Collins, I'd probably just pivot over to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And also, of course, if we hit 100 likes on this live stream, every 100 likes we hit, we are going to be giving away a free start sit question and a free trade question to a member of flockfantasy.com. So let me know when we hit 100 likes and we can go ahead and we can give away some of those free things. But here, this is going to be a start sit question for Morecourt. We're going to go ahead, start Stephon Diggs, and then I'm probably going to take Josh Downs. I mean, Javonte Williams, we just realistically don't know what the role is going to be when it comes to week 1. And at the same time, even if he is the starting running back, which is probably the case, but we can't say for sure, you have the worst matchup in the world going up against Philly. Okay, but people are saying we've already hit 100 likes. So if we've hit 100 likes, please just go down to the live chat and spam your flockfantasy.com username, even if you are a free user. As long as you use promo code FLOCK, I should be able to find you in my users page, and I should be able to hook you up with a free start sit question, free trade question. But as we wait for y'all to get your usernames in, let's go ahead and let's answer this from Lakey Dots. This is a trade where you didn't send in the other side of it. You just said that you're going to be giving away ETN, DJ Moore, Mark Andrews. So let me hook you up with another free trade voucher. That way you can resend this in. But let's pick somebody random. We got Zapo XAPO. Let's look this up. Can I find you, my friend? Please be here. Zapo, I got you. And you actually have the season pass. So You should actually already have some free start set question and trade question vouchers in your account, but we will make sure that you get set up with a bunch. That way you're good to go for this year, my guy. Definitely appreciate you. And thank you for coming by the stream. But everybody in the chat, please let me know when we hit 200 and we will give away some more. Now, Luke for Denver coming through for the flex. Here we're choosing between Calvin Ridley, Tyrone Tracy, and Javonte Williams. Let me see what the matchup is for Tracy week 1. Tracy week 1 should pretty easily be the starting running back here. I mean, I'd be surprised if that wasn't the case. The thing that we are going to have to deal with is Calvin Ridley as the worst matchup you could possibly draw for a receiver. He's going to be going up against the Denver Broncos. And the Titans have a projection of 17 points. We have the Giants as 6.5 point dogs to the Commanders with a 19.5 point projection. So I don't think it's super exciting, but I'd probably go with Tyrone Tracy, expecting Scatterboot not to have a large role early on. And I think that we would probably lean on, lean on Ridley any other week that he's not playing the Denver Broncos. But let's move this over. Our next question is coming out from Nomies. This is Juwan Jennings, Jamison Williams versus Zach Charbonnet and Tet McMillan. Jamison Williams, Tet McMillan are relatively close for us. Juwan Jennings, Charbonnet, I'd kind of just rather have Jennings. I think if you use the expert average rankings on the site, they're going to tell you to go with Tet McMillan because he's the best player in the deal. But realistically, I have Jamison Williams and Tet McMillan not too far off, so I wouldn't mind at all just keeping the Jamison side here. But I think when in doubt, if it seems like a fair deal, we're just going to go with the best player. Now, Castillo coming through. I think Castillo actually won this free start set question in the chat the other day. Here, quarterback, we're going to be starting Drake May week 1 over Dak Prescott. I think I prefer Dak rest of season, but week 1, he has to play the Eagles. And then down in the flex spots, we're going to be playing T. Higgins. And then Sutton versus Devonta Smith is going to be a little bit tough for me. I think week 1, where the Eagles are pretty heavy favorites against the Cowboys, we're going to be playing Cortland Sutton, expecting the Eagles to probably just be able to run the ball. So we will have Higgins and Sutton here for the 2 flexes. And then we're going to go with Drake May because right now the Eagles are pretty heavy favorites over the over the Cowboys. Elias has kind of shot myself in the foot for week 1. So week 1, we have no Najee, no Mixon, no Judkins. I mean, what's your option? The only guy you can't start is Zach Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we have no Ayuk. Tet's a rookie. I'd rather have Metcalf over Tet week 1, but we're going to have to play Tet regardless because, again, you have no running backs available to you early. And honestly, I think it would be interesting for you to just go ahead and kind of hopefully try to find a way to upgrade running back and get somebody in there immediately. Like if you can go pick up Nick Chubb off the waiver wire right now, please go do that. Now, Noki coming through with the a start set question. Here we need to figure out who we're starting between Aaron Jones and Tyrone Tracy. Let's pull up the Vikings matchup. I think they have a division game, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah, they play the Bears. They're 1.5 favorites. We should expect Jordan Mason to probably have a little bit of a larger role than Scatterbo early in the year, but I do just like that offense more. I'm not starting JCM week 1. I'm rooting for him week 1. I have him in the Flock League, but not putting him in my lineup. And then down there in the flex, I prefer Xavier Worthy here in this spot rest of season. The hesitation that I'm going to have for week 1 is that, we'll have Rice there week 1. So I think actually looking at DJ Moore will be interesting, especially before Luther Burden and Loveland really break out. So I think we're going to go ahead and we will take DJ Moore week 1 over Worthy, but rest of season, I think I'll want Worthy. But it looks like we hit 200 likes, so please put your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And as long as you use code FLOCK, I should be able to find you on my users page, even if you have a free account. So please spam the chat with your flockfantasy.com username. And we'll get to that after we answer this question from Miller Lite. This is Barkley, Rome, Ferguson versus Bowers, McLaurin, Achane. So Rome to McLaurin upgrade, Barkley to Achane downgrade. We're picking up Bowers for our troubles. It's a 10-team single flex format. We don't really have it tied into relevance right now. If you have Myers getting dealt and at the same time you have Achane looking like he's going to go for week 1, and Terry McLaurin signing the extension, 9 times out of 10, especially in your format, I want the best player. But like in the Flock League, if I could go ahead and trade like Barkley, Stephon Diggs, and like whatever tied to TJ Hawkinson and go get the same package, I would do it in a heartbeat. But okay. Let's go ahead and let's find just a random user here to get somebody. We got No Romo Joes as a winner here for the vouchers. Let me see if I can find you. If not, we'll pick a backup. No Romo. I got you. And you got the season pass, so you should already have some vouchers in your account. But we'll make sure we go ahead. And actually, it looks like you already used one of your free Start Set Question vouchers. So make sure we get you set up with another one, my guy. And again, thanks for hanging out in the stream. But just please, live chat, let me know when we hit 300. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next question. This next one's going to be coming out from a Heli. It's a start sit here, tight end. I'm going to go Loveland over Pitts. F it. Like, I understand what we're talking about, maybe wanting to be a little bit hesitant to just immediately jam in the rookies. I understand, especially the rookie tight ends. But I don't think Loveland, I can't move him down to like behind Pitts, to be honest. And then going over to the flex, I'll probably go with Brees over Worthy and Rome. If we had no Rice, I think I'd be going with Worthy instead of Brees, but I don't think I can do that here. Now, Nate93 says, I guess I can do it with my wide receiver depth. So here, this is a dynasty league, I believe. Let me just triple check. Yep, it should be a dynasty league. And yeah, Alvin Kamara and Devontae Adams are probably nothing 12 months from now in a dynasty league. Whereas Chase Brown could be nothing. We have no idea. Wide range of outcomes. Not like he has a ton of pedigree, but at least he's young enough to have the upside to possibly increase value over the next 12 months, where that just simply can't happen with Kamara and Adams. And I think the production's better with Chase Brown than anybody on the other side. So we're going to go Chase Brown. It's Archie says, thanks for the site torching league mates and drafts. Hell yes. Seeing who should start and where we look weak. Well, obviously there's no way in hell we can start Judkins. I think you're going to have to go Tony Pollard week 1. I hate the matchup going up against Denver, but if you have no, Tajay Spears week 1, I mean, at least you'll have the guaranteed work. And then going down to the flex, like the potential pivot that you would have would be Devontae Adams to Devonta Smith. But the reports right now are saying that you should have Matthew Stafford good to go week 1. So if that is true, if Matthew Stafford's good to go week 1, we will just take Devontae Adams over Devonta Smith. And then if we're looking at Dalton Kincaid down here on your bench, I don't know if this just starting lineup was filled out a little wonky where we don't have a tight end spot, but we have 2 flex, and maybe this is actually a tight end. But if you don't have to start a tight end in this league, I would drop Dalton Kincaid and pick up a running back off the waiver wire, especially if you have Trey McBride. Now, if you have to start a tight end, I'm fine with you rostering Dalton Kincaid. But, I mean, even then, you don't have to because McBride's so strong. Now, Miguel says, do you plan to add cheat sheets for NFL fantasy? The rankings are trash. So you can actually use the draft sheets. Let me pull these up because these are the draft sheets that I use since I drafted in person. So if you think that the NFL fantasy ADP is just complete garbage, just use one of these other sheets and it will take into account the ADP for ESPN drafts, sleeper drafts, Yahoo drafts, FFPC drafts, underdog drafts, and then my rankings for your platform. So this is the section I would use if you're drafting on NFL fantasy. Mark says, yo, Mason, what happened? Seems like the last stream was cut short, stopped in the middle of you talking. Yes, sir. I lost power. Our neighborhood lost power. It was brutal, but we're back. We are back now. Now, John Smith football coming through, and here this dynasty league, so deeper starting lineups. If we're looking at who we would possibly want to get in the lineup week 1, I know who I'd want to take out here would be Khalil Shakir, but our best available name to get into the lineup would probably be like Braylon Allen or Deonta Thor, or I guess it would be Corey Krosky Merritt. And I really hope that JCM crushes Khalil Shakir this year. But realistically, there's no way in hell I can put him in week 1 with that, with no certainty whatsoever. Now, it should be a decent little matchup going up against the Giants where you are a heavy favorite, so you should be able to run the ball, but I would rather just leave your lineup as is, to be honest. Now, PD says, wondering who to start at the flex. Also, how's the team worried about Tyreek? The flex between Tet McMillan and Rome Odunze, it is relatively close. I mean, it's not like either guy's proven anything at the NFL level, so I'm fine if we wanted to go ahead and we wanted to roll with Tet week 1. I do think that Rome's maybe a little interesting week 1 because we shouldn't expect that Luther Burden and Loveland have massive roles immediately. And Chubb looks like he should be the starter, but again, I would rather see it with Chubb before we actually put him in, see what he looks like, because the reports out of Houston or saying that he doesn't look great, even if he technically is the starting running back. So I think we start Tet, and I know that you're worried about Tyreek, and I would be as well, but the reality of the situation is if you have Rome, Tet, and Tyreek, you're probably good. Okay. Now let's move this over. Jay Cawley coming through with the trade. This is Henderson, Caleb Worthy versus Puka Nacua. Yeah, we're going to take Puka here. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So in a league like this is the perfect example to go out there and just like trade 3 quarters for $1. And this is something that most like trade calculators do a very poor job of. Y'all know I've played fantasy football for literally ever. Like especially dynasty fantasy football. People have been trying to make calculators ever since I started playing. And they've just like never worked because they haven't been able to accurately account for what like these elite like round 1 players are truly worth in comparison to like the mid-round guys and the opportunity cost that you have. So like if you actually use the trade calculator on the site here, I will say that you slightly win, but to take into account who you're going to be picking up, let's go ahead and let's use the My Teams page and look at your options on the waiver wire. Jordan Mason's out there for free. Tajay Spears is out there for free. Tucker Kraft's out there for free. So first thing is I would cut Dalton Kincaid. I'd pick up Tucker Kraft. Second thing is you're going to be picking up Jordan Mason and Tajay Spears after this move. So if that's the case, like take a little look at what the trade calculator says after we throw those guys into the other deal because we get them off the waiver wire for free. It says you just clearly win. So yeah, go ahead. Get the Puka Nacua side here. I think you're absolutely crushing. And congrats on having the number 1 team in the analyzer. Now, Vasil Lando coming through. Quarterback, we did not put any options there. Running back, we have Anderson, Hampton, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. We're for sure going to go Hampton. I mean, even if Najee plays, Najee hasn't been with the team whatsoever. Going over to wide receiver, we have Wilson, Devonta Smith, Worthy, Igbuka. We're going to go with Garrett Wilson. Not expecting the passing volume to be great, though. And then down in the 2 flex spots, I'm going to opt to just go with the veterans with Worthy and Devonta Smith. And I think this is like a perfect example where we just kind of know what the role is going to be for these 2 receivers. We know how they project out. Where the rookies, there's such a wide range of outcomes that I definitely am excited to have them on my bench, but I'd rather bench them week 1 and then see that long-term upside afterwards. Okay. Rick says, hey, Mason, I just purchased the season pass on Flock Fantasy. I have 1 league that is an auction draft. Does Flock Fantasy have any guides for auction? So you can go ahead and you can check out the draft guides section. I know that if you're looking at my draft sheets, I have not posted any auction values, but there's possibly, I mean, there are a ton of draft guides on the site. So you can go through and you can see if anybody else has posted anything. I know I haven't posted any auction stuff, but I can't speak for everybody. Now, Privical coming through. They're trading Brees and Worthy for DJ Moore and Bucky. Y'all know I absolutely love me some Xavier Worthy. However, Bucky's in a different tier than Brees, and Xavier Worthy and DJ Moore are in comparable tiers. Like DJ Moore went ahead of Xavier Worthy in the Flock League. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Bucky Irving and DJ Moore. Now, Jay Hendo coming with the trade. We're sending JCM and Brock Bowers. We're getting Ashton Genty. Who do we have at tight end? We have no tight ends. Who are the tight ends available to us on the waiver wire? The best tight ends on waivers. First off, Godwin's on the waiver wire. That's crazy. Dallas Goedert's on waivers here. So I understand the thought process if you wanted to go out there and just get the best player with Ashton Genty. But with the Jacoby Myers deal, like Brock Bowers just does look so exciting that I would try to squeeze a little more value out of JCM and possibly a different trade. And 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, like having the elite tight end like Brock Bowers is just going to let you absolutely crush. So no Romo Joes. We just hooked you up with that free question, right? But I guess this was from 3 hours ago. So this is what you sent in previously. Asking essentially, do we start Evan Ingram or Tyler Warren week 1? If Josh Downs misses, super easy. We start Tyler Warren. However, if Downs plays, while I'll way rather have Tyler Warren rest of season and I'd way rather draft Tyler Warren than Evan Ingram, I do think that you probably just go ahead and you probably just take the veteran wide receiver and start Evan Ingram. But that's obviously just for week 1 here. And make sure you're monitoring the Josh Downs hamstring. Now, Law MVP Jackson. This is Ted McMillan versus Josh Downs and RJ Harvey. So this 2 wide receiver single flex format. I think Ted's going to be startable early in the year. I can't say the same thing about Harvey. If we make this move, Jacoby Myers our wide receiver 3, or I guess Downs our wide receiver 3. Running back, we have like Kamara, Achane, Dobbins. So honestly, and then you'd have to drop somebody as well. Honestly, I think at this point, I'd rather just have the best player. I'd rather have Ted McMillan. Now, Todd says 103 pick, full PPR, single wide receiver, running back, flex, 10-team league. Should I start with a running back, tight end, quarterback? If you're telling me, oh, you're saying only a flex, I got you. I understand that. So if you're in a 10-team league where you only have one flex spot, then I would say 100% you are incentivized to take an elite quarterback and an elite tight end if you can. So I like the idea of going through and getting that anchor running back and then the elite onesies. And you'll see that, right? So if you're drafting on like ESPN 10-team single flex format, this is our draft sheet for your format, which I'm assuming, again, you got the season pass if you're asking a question on the site. So you should have access to this draft sheet. But realistically, you'll see like I have Bijan Robinson over Jamar Chase in this format. So I agree. I like the idea of taking a running back over receiver, but I'm not going to take like McCaffrey over Jefferson. I'm not going to take like Genty over CeeDee Lamb. Like you want to push the running backs up, but I don't think that you should be doing it to an extreme degree. And then with Brock Bowers, I think Bowers definitely in play in round 2. McBride wouldn't be in play until round 3. And then Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I think you'd be looking at them at the 2-3 turn. But keep in mind, obviously, like the end of the second round's earlier than the end of the second round in a 10-team leagues earlier than the end of the second round in a 12-teamer. Dunny says, how do I upload my team to Flock Fantasy? So you go over to the My Teams page. You hit League, Add New, and then you can add a Sleeper, ESPN, or a Yahoo League. ESPN, super easy. You just copy and paste your league ID, and then it links the entire league. Yahoo, super easy. You just hit Submit. It'll open up Yahoo. You'll sign in, and then you will have all your leagues loaded in. If you ever have an issue with Yahoo, it's because too many people are trying to use it at once, and Yahoo rate limits us. Because like we have to hit Yahoo's endpoints, and Yahoo rate limits like the amount of times that we can hit it. So if you ever have an issue, that is why, and you'll just have to try again later. And then ESPN, this is the one that's a little bit of a pain in the butt, which I apologize for, but we made it as easy as we possibly could. You have to get like a private little key if you want to be able to link your private ESPN league. If you have a public ESPN league, it's easy, but none of y'all play in public ESPN leagues, sadly. So what you do is you just open up flockfantasy.com, preferably on Google Chrome. Open up ESPN on Google Chrome in another window, log into both, hit get extension, and then hit the sync button after you do that. And then it should pull your ESPN league. And you only have to do that once, and then you can access it whenever you want, forever. You have to do it on your computer when you initially do it, but then you can use it on your phone. Now, let's move this over. Todd says 103. Actually, I think we already answered this for Todd. Let's move over to Shark Farts. Pretty good name. This is a trade dynasty deal where we are sending Ibuka, Pearsall, and 2 first-round picks for Jamar Chase. I believe this is a single QB league, right? It's a single QB format where we are just absolutely loaded up. So with that in mind, the first round picks are going to be worth a little bit less. And I think you can go ahead and you can honestly afford to get that upgrade to Jamar. Now, Jay Smooth says, for the ESPN format, double flex, what do I focus in on? If it's a 12-team double flex format, I would push wide receivers up just a bit. So if you're in a 12-team, let's see real quick. Double flex, full PPR, 12-team, you'd be using sheet 8. If it's a single flex, 12-team, full PPR. Actually, you said double flex regardless, right? If it's a 10-team double flex, you'll be using sheet 2 for those ESPN drafts. And you'll see with these sheets that wide receivers are pushed up just a bit in comparison to like the sheet that we showed early, which was, I believe, a single flex format. But Riley says we had 300 likes. Can somebody confirm that we had 300 likes and we'll do another giveaway? But let's move. It's your boy coming through with here. This is going to be super easy. We'll play James Cook down in the flex over the wide receivers. With Cook, should be a super safe workload. Don't love the matchup against Baltimore because I do think probably you have this as a high-scoring game where Buffalo has to ask Josh Allen to drop back a decent amount. Okay, but it looks like people are confirming we did hit 300 likes, so spam your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. We'll pick another person to give away free start-set questions and trade questions too. Now, GP Fantasy coming in with a big dono says, I'm in a keeper league where I can keep one player. Who should we keep? Godwin in round 5. Not Godwin in round 5. He won't even get drafted that high. Brian Robinson in round 6. Not Brian Robinson in round 6. He won't even get drafted that high. Rashee Rice round 5 and Ayuk round 5. Who should we go with? Out of all of these options, again, Godwin's worth less than a round 5 pick right now. Ayuk's worth less than a round 5 pick right now. Brian Robinson's worth less than a round 6 pick right now. Like, honestly, these aren't super exciting. If I had to pick somebody, I would be going with Rashee Rice round 5. I think you get more games played out of Rashee Rice than the other receivers this year, and his expected points per game should be higher as well. But let's pick somebody random here, and who are we getting? We're getting Ankle Bully 00. Okay. So let me pull up my users page. If you use code FLOCK and you have an account on the site, you should be good to go. Flock users. Ankle Bully. Gotcha. Looks like this is a free account, so you shouldn't have any vouchers right now, but right after this, you should be good to go. We got a trade question sent your way and a start set sent your way as well. Now, let's move this over to our next one. Now, Travis coming through. This Jahmyr Gibbs versus Chase Brown, Nico Collins. Oh, this is tough. 9 times out of 10, I just want to go ahead and I want to take the best player in Jahmyr Gibbs. But, I mean, Nico Collins is a round 1 pick in his own right. And Chase Brown's a round 2 pick. So, yeah, I would go ahead and I'll take the Nico Collins and Chase Brown side. Unless it was like some crazy, like, 6-person league. Now, Jess Salinas coming through. This is Marvin Harrison and Pacheco versus Derrick Henry. I mean, I'm not even the biggest Derrick Henry guy, but this is also Derrick Henry by a country mile. Like, realistically, if we go through and we put this in the trade calculator on the site, I'm assuming it's going to say that you're robbing them. Which, if that's the case, you know for sure that you want to be taking the deal. So looking at this, Marvin Harrison and Isaiah Pacheco versus Derrick Henry. What the hell? It says fair trade? What am I missing here? If you use my rankings, it says that you slightly win. Am I crazy? Is this not like Derrick Henry winning by a decent amount? Please let me know in the live chat. Am I losing my mind? Is this not Derrick Henry by like a mile? Alex says he wouldn't make the deal for Henry. But yeah, other people in the chat are saying it is. Yeah. Somebody says even. What the? Maybe I am a Derrick Henry guy. Because, yeah, I definitely think it's a great deal. I think you for sure go get Derrick Henry, especially in your format. You're in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver. Oh, my gosh. And you just crushed your league mates. And you can get Josh Downs off waivers for free. You absolutely robbed your league mates in the draft. Unbelievable. And if you're getting Josh Downs off the waiver wire for free, and we can add Josh Downs to the Derrick Henry side, it makes that deal that much better for you. Okay, so let's move this over. And Trigger Trey coming out. Here for the flex, our best option to get in the lineup would be probably DK Metcalf. That's currently on our bench. But realistically, your team's just a little too strong to start Metcalf over like Kamara, Hampton, Brian Thomas, Garrett Wilson. Going over to the QB, I would actually start Caleb over Dak Prescott week 1, just because I really don't like the Dak Prescott matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. So yeah, we're going to go with Caleb. Now, C. Fetty coming through, and this is a massive deal. So we're going to throw this into the trade calculator for sure. So this is Josh Allen, Ashton Genty on one side. And just to show y'all like how the functionality of these trades work, which this is how it should work, to be honest. It's just hard to contextualize it. But if you look at the math behind it with the value over replacement with some of these guys, Like, this is the meat and the potatoes of the deal. It's Ashton Jeanty and Josh Allen for CeeDee Lamb, which we go ahead, we put this into the trade calculator. It says you slightly lose and you'd rather have the Ashton Jeanty and Josh Allen side. Now, if we go through and if we add the other players into this, it's probably going to not make that much of a difference because the meat and the potatoes are just so much of a bigger deal than anything else. So let's put everything in here. So once we put everything else in here, what does it say? It says fair deal. I guess you balance it out a bit if you are in on Judkins. If we use the expert average ranks, it has you winning this, but in my opinion, the expert average ranks a little too high on the Dallas Cowboys. I think Danny's just boosting his guys a bit. As realistically, I look at this, I would rather have Josh Allen, Ashton Jeanty over CeeDee Lamb. I'd rather have Loveland over Ferg. I'd probably rather have Judkins over Braylon. Dak's not that much of a difference maker. I'd probably go ahead and take the Josh Allen side of this, but it's not that far off. Okay, now Coley 101 coming through. And this is a start sit question where running back, we're looking at Harvey, Caleb, Nick Chubb, Trey Benson. Full PBR for, hell, I have Nick Chubb in the Flock League. Like, I hope Nick Chubb outscores RJ Harvey. But you do have the Broncos as pretty heavy favorites in this game. Chubb's not really going to get used as a receiver. So I think we go Harvey here at RB. Now, Buddy coming through at the start set. Here for the flex, we are choosing between like Egbuka. I'm not going with Egbuka week 1. I'd rather have Breece Hall over Egbuka week 1. Yeah, we just have a bunch of rookies down here that we could consider for this flex, like Caleb Johnson, JCM, Egbuka, Travis Hunter. With Breece, like worst case scenario is a committee running back where we know he's uber talented. So we're going to take Breece Hall. Now let's move this over. Cade says, Nico Puka owners offer the same deal. Which one should we go with? Nico, Puka, they're ranked back-to-back for me. It truly is just going to be up to you. This is a league where we have Gibbs, Jacobs, Kamara, JCM at running back, so we have plenty of running back. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format as well, so you can pick up Zach Charbonnet off the waiver wire for free. And now I'd rather have Nico Collins and Zach Charbonnet than George Pickens and Chase Brown. So we're going to go with Nico Collins. Now, 1K3 with the trade. This is Barkley down tier to Brian Thomas. Ladd McConkey lateral move to Hampton. Garrett Wilson lateral move to Jalen Hurts and slight Bo Nix upgrade. This is going to be the Saquon Barkley side. Yeah, like I think Barkley is the clear best player. I think Ladd McConkey and Hampton are comparable in value. Garrett Wilson and Jalen Hurts are comparable in value. Bo Nix, George Pickens, like who really cares? That gap's not going to bridge the gap between Barkley and Brian Thomas. So give me the Barkley side here pretty easily. Now, 44 MSU, always happy to see you, my guy. With a start set, I'm going to go DJ Moore over the rookie wide receivers. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We have Harrison. We're going to go with Harrison. Don't mind the matchup at all week 1 against the Saints. But we'll also throw DJ Moore down there in the flex spot. And then we'll be excited about Egbuka, Tet, and Trevion Henderson, plus JCM, but we'll see what the workloads look like week 1. Now, sad Saints fan coming through. This is T. Higgins and Loveland versus Josh Allen. So I have Josh Allen and T. Higgins in the Flock League. I definitely would rather have Allen over Higgins. The thing that matters so much for this is going to be the league settings of your league. This is a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex where like Jordan Addison's on the waiver wire. So you can trade like Higgins and Loveland and go get Josh Allen to pick up Jordan Addison for free. We're going to take the Josh Allen side. Now, Zapo coming through. Running back, we are looking at, I guess, Caleb Johnson or Jordan Mason week 1. Let me just go ahead and make sure that's not way off with the matchups here. But the Vikings, I believe, are 1.5 favorites, right? Yeah, they're 1.5 favorites against the Bears. And the Steelers are 3-point favorites against the Jets. So they should actually be able to run the ball a bit. King, I'm going to do team reviews in this live stream as well, but I have to get through all the simple stuff first. Okay. Like I would obviously way rather have Caleb Johnson rest of season. I just don't know what the workload looks like for Caleb Johnson week 1 in comparison to Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. So I think we probably go Jordan Mason here week 1. So here's what's happening with the site real quick. I'm answering all the non-team reviews. So that's the trade question, starts at question, super messages in order that we have received them. And then after we clear out all of those, then I'm going to go and start doing some team reviews in the order that we receive them. I wanted to be live streaming for like the past 5 hours doing this, but like I said, I lost my power. So y'all saw our live stream get cut off earlier. Zay Hoover says, want to get rid of Devontae Adams for T, but not get screwed at running backs. Their way to get JCM, but not lose DL, ME, or NC. So essentially we're coming up with the trade here. So we want to get a running back in return. You said you wanted to get JCM. Oh, you wanted to get JC. Who the hell is JC? James Cook. So if you're upgrading from T Higgins to, from Devontae Adams to T Higgins, I'd assume that you'd have to downgrade at running back to James Cook. I think you would have to probably move on from Kyron. Right? If that's what you're asking, if you're trying to get a like even swap here, I think based off your running back room, the closest swap that you can get would be Adams to Higgins and Kyron to James Cook, if that's what you were looking for. But I would rather have T. Higgins over Devontae Adams if that's what you're trying to get at. Okay, Josh coming through with our next question. This is going to be Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, Ricky Pearsall versus Josh Jacobs. This is Josh Jacobs easily. Brian Robinson's just a name. If you can throw him in a deal like this and just get somebody accept because it looks like there's another valuable player, you do it in a heartbeat. Just go get the best option with Josh Jacobs. This is a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, so you're going to get like Braylon Allen off the waiver wire. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. Go get Jacobs. Now, Cooper from AK here at running back. We're choosing between Henderson, JCM. Hampton's just an auto star. Like, it doesn't really matter if he's a rookie. Hampton and Genty are the 2 guys that you're putting in week 1 regardless. And then Addison suspended week 1. I would rather have Devonta Smith over Hunter and Tet before we see their roles. I'm going to go with Brees over the rookie receivers as well until we see their roles. And then I'm going to go with Tet over Hunter for that final flex spot. And then obviously over, actually, do we go Henderson? No, we're going to go Henderson over Tet. I'd just be more confident with the running backs, giving you a baseline floor of touches. Caddyshack coming through. This is Waddle and Bigsby versus Devontae Adams. So we're going to take the Devontae Adams side here. It looks like this is a single flex format. Now, should be a 12-team league, so waiver wire is going to be a little bit thinner, but you can still go pick up somebody like Ollie Gordon. So yeah, we're going to take Devontae Adams. Now, DeBum Diggity. This is a flex spot. We're looking at Tet McMillan versus Igbuka, Harvey, JCM. We're for sure going to go with Tet. Who do we have at quarterback? Just, I guess, Brock Purdy. But yeah, I'm going to go with Tet. Like, I'm pretty confident that Tet's going to play like 70+% of the snaps week 1. The thing is, obviously, with the rookie, we just don't know what the target volume is going to look like immediately. But like, I can't tell you how many snaps that like RJ Harvey's going to play, right? Now, Skitty coming through with our next question. Here, this is Pacheco and Devonta Smith versus Chuba and Matthew Golden. Us going from Smith to Hubbard. Give me Hubbard, Pacheco to Golden, slightly Pacheco. I think I'd probably rather have Hubbard. I think he's the best player in this deal. And then Matthew Golden looks like he's just set up in a smash spot with the Jaden Reed injury. Okay, Ivan coming through. Running back, we are looking at Tracy, Etienne, Aaron Jones. We're just going to go with Tracy. I don't like the matchups for. We're going to go with Aaron Jones. I do think that Tracy week 1, though, is set up in a really good spot because Scadaboo with the injury shouldn't have a large role week 1. And then down here for the flex, half PBR format, it's a little bit closer. I think you could go Tracy, but we'll take Tet. Jonathan says, does he answer every question? I will never miss a question we get on flockfantasy.com. In the live chat, I definitely miss questions because it's not easy for me to answer them in order like how we have them all organized on the site. But if you ever submit a question to flockfantasy.com, I will never miss it. And also how this works is even if you are not in the live stream, you are going to see the answer because you are going to get an email with the exact link to take you to the exact time your question was answered in the live stream. So you never have to worry about missing your answer when you submit a question on the site. The devs absolutely crushed it with how they built out this system, where you can ask a question at any time you want. You don't even have to come into the live stream to get an answer. Essentially, you'll just get a custom link that will be sent to you. You click it, and it jumps you to the exact time that I answered your question. But it looks like we hit 400 likes on this stream. So every time we hit a multiple of 100 likes, we're going to give away that free start sit question and that free trade question. So please spam the chat with your Flock Fantasy username, and we will get somebody hooked up with a free question. But first, let's answer this from Asaf. It's a trade one quarterback format, so Drake May kind of just waiver wire fodder. We're moving from Chuba to get Baker and Charbonnet. I'm not paying up for like the Baker Mayfield tier of quarterbacks, especially post Godwin injury news and Jalen McMillan being out as well. I think I'd rather just keep the best player and keep Chuba Hubbard. But let me pull up flockfantasy.com in another window so we can get ready to look up the users, and let's pick somebody random here. We got K. Soliner. Let's see if I can find you, my friend. If not, we'll go with the backup. K. Sol. Did we? Perfect. Gotcha. Annual Mother Flocker as well. You've been with us forever, my guy. Really appreciate you. Let me go ahead and hook you up with some stuff. And you've been a long time YouTube member too. Thank you so much, my guy. I really appreciate you. But K. Soliner, you should be set up with those free vouchers on your account now. Okay. And let's move this over to our next question. This one's coming out from Erod85. This is Kamara versus Pacheco. And I honestly thought it was going to be a dynasty league, but it's tagged as a redraft format. Honestly, kind of if it's dynasty or redraft, regardless, I view both these running backs as just kind of this year win now options. And I'd much prefer having Alvin Kamara over Pacheco. Now, Ryan, David Montgomery versus George Pickens. It's a 14-teamer. Where running back afterwards, we'd have Brian Robinson, James Cook. Wide receiver at the moment, we have Higgins, Jameson. It's a half PPR format. So I think in the vast majority of instances, I want to have George Pickens over David Montgomery. The only scenario where I am hesitant is 14-team league. Running backs are harder to come by. And at the same time, it's a half PPR league. So I'm hesitant to make the deal because your league settings, but I still think you probably do it. Okay, now our next question coming out from Max. This is JSN and Kraft versus Trey McBride. Give me Trey McBride. It's a little bit of a deeper league. Looks like it's a start 8, 12-team format, but realistically, I think if you're looking at McBride, he just straight up outscores JSN and you get those points at tight end. Now, Lil offer coming through. We have 2 flex spots we need to fill out. I think that Kenneth Walker kind of looks like an auto start week 1, and then we're going to go with Xavier Worthy. I'm hoping that we get a big breakout for Rome Odunze this year, but I think starting in week 1 would just be a little bit riskier if you are comparing him to somebody like Worthy, where we had that late season breakout already. Now, Asaf, this is another trade where we're sending Scadaboo and Loveland for Tyler Warren. It's a 14-team format, so honestly, 14-team league. While I would rather have Tyler Warren over Loveland, I'm not making the deal. Because in a 14-team league, second half of the season, Scadaboo could be very relevant for you. And then the extra roster spot's not going to matter as much. Just the waiver wire is going to be a lot thinner. Even though Luther Burden's out there on the waiver wire, never mind. I mean, can we drop somebody to go pick up Luther Burden? Actually, I think maybe you could go get Tyler Warren if you were able to pick up Luther Burden for free. You could justify it. But it's not that far off. Vexa coming through with the start set. Quarterback, Jared Goff versus Caleb. We'll go with Goff, even though you do have the line. You have both teams projected as dogs week 1. And then down here for the flex, you're going to take, okay, so it looks like we just kind of spam these players over and over again. How the hell did you get this many players loaded in? So we have Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase in at wide receiver. We have Hampton and Bucky in at running back. So our flex plays that we are actually considering would be like Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Charbonnet, Tet McMillan, Devonta Smith. So I think we're going to go with Devonta Smith. I think rest of season, you can make a strong argument for Tet McMillan. But again, with the rookies specifically in comparison to those veteran receivers where we've already seen the production, I mean, we just don't have to worry. Looking at dummies, starts at question, or Dunny, I apologize. I would love to get Calvin Ridley out of our lineup or Keon Coleman out of our lineup. Realistically, Keon Coleman. Ridley has a tough matchup week 1, but Keon, we don't know what the target share is going to be. If they tell us Nick Chubb's the starting running back week 1, I'd start Nick Chubb over Keon, even if this is a full PPR format. Now, Harrison says 12-team PPR, $100, $150 in fab. Running backs on the bench are Pacheco and Algier. How much fab for JCM? Well, I would cut Algier for JCM. So the relevant thing when I answer fab questions that I need to know is who do you cut? So if you're telling me Tyler Algier is the worst player on our team, if we're cutting Tyler Algier in favor of JCM, I would probably be willing to spend 35% of our fab budget, 40% of our fab budget, which seems aggressive. Maybe it's not. So realistically, I think we go ahead and we probably spend like $60 fab if we're cutting Algier for JCM. If you have a worse player to cut, like if you're saying, actually, no, Mason, the guy that I'm going to cut is going to be Jarquez Hunter, then I think you could push that to like 75. Okay. Now, our next play is going to be from Lucas. Here, quarterback, Kyler, Caleb. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Kyler. Kyler's never not been a top 12 quarterback points per game. Going over to running back, we're going to take Trevion Henderson over Charbonnet and White. I can't guarantee Henderson's going to be the starter week 1, but we know that the other running backs will be backups. And then we're going to take Travis. We'll go Ricky Pearsall, Romadunce in the flex spots, and then we're probably going to end up starting Travis Hunter through the rest of the season, but I think we can hold off and see what the role is like for Travis Hunter the first week. Now, Christian coming through this trade, Bijan and JSN versus Jahmyr Gibbs and Ladd McConkey. Bijan, Gibbs, legitimately up to you. I would rather have Bijan, but a bunch of other smart people would rather have Jahmyr Gibbs. I just simply don't know. I do know I want Ladd McConkey over Jackson Smith and Jigba, though. So I think we are going to go with the Ladd McConkey and the Jahmyr Gibbs side of this. As I think you stay in the same tier at running back, but I think you move one tier up at wide receiver. Now, we need to, it says failed update trade status. So I need to log out, log back in. We've been live for a little bit too long. Give me 1 second. And as I do this, I'll remind you that if you have not done so already, you can win your fantasy football league this year pretty easily. There's one thing holding you back, and that's you need a flockfantasy.com season pass. It's going to hook you up with the My Teams page, going to hook you up with the trade calculator, going to hook you up with weekly rankings and tiers, rest of season rankings and tiers, all the way through January 1st. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you will also be getting free vouchers to ask start-sit questions, trade questions in the live stream that we are doing every single night during the season. Just make sure you use code FLOCK if you want those free trade questions, start-sit questions. And I think you can see everybody in this stream that's getting these free questions, right? So they're there. But let's move over to this next one. Christian coming out, and we already answered this. It's going to be Gibbs and Ladd McConkey. And our next questions from Aiden. This is McBride versus Chase Brown. I would rather have Chase Brown. It's a 10-team single flex format. We have Evan Ingram at tight end, running back. I mean, Swift is our RB2 right now. It doesn't look like Caleb Johnson's going to be startable. So I do think that McBride's very valuable in this format in particular, but Chase Brown's just an absolute crusher. Now, Chris coming through with the start sets here down in the flex spots. If we wanted to get somebody in, it would be like Romadunze or Egbuka, but I'm fine starting Jamison Williams and Henderson over them week 1. Tight end, I don't love the idea of starting Kincaid, but it doesn't look like we have another option at the moment. Now, Salty coming through in the flex. If we were to take out Debo, like Matthew Golden, Keon Coleman would be our top names. I think we probably start Debo, though. With McLaurin missing so much of camp, you can maybe bet that Debo has a nice little week 1 role. Okay. Now, M. Rolling says, Keeper League, 3 guys, half PPR, keeping Bijan at 1, Brian Thomas at 10. Are we going to go Gibbs in the 2nd or Kyron in the 6th? So one thing that we have to address, if it's a 3-player keeper league, right? A 2nd-round pick's not like a normal 2nd-round pick. In a 3-player keeper league, that 2nd-round pick is a little bit closer to being like a 4th-rounder. That 6th-round pick with Kyron's closer to being like a 9th. But would I rather have a 4th-round pick and Kyron Williams, or would I rather have Jahmyr Gibbs and a 9th-round pick? I'd probably rather have Jahmyr Gibbs than the 9th-round pick. And if you just think about this realistically, you're telling me that you get to start your draft off with Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Brian Thomas? How the hell does anybody compete with that? I couldn't tell you. So, yeah, I think you just go ahead and keep the best player. Keep Jahmyr Gibbs in the second round there. Now, Noodlehead coming through. This is Trevion Henderson, Drake London versus Chase Brown and Tet McMillan. Drake London, Chase Brown, tomato for me. I'd rather have Trevion Henderson over Tet, though. So, to be honest with you, I'd probably go with the Trevion Henderson and the Drake London side of this. Okay. Let's move this over. Aiden coming through with a start set. We're definitely going to go DeAndre Swift over Nick Chubb, even if Nick Chubb looks like he is the starting running back in Houston week 1, which I hope is the case. Y'all know I have a ton of him in underdog drafts, and I have him in the flock league. He's not going to catch the ball the way that DeAndre Swift will. And Swift just has more juice at this point of his career. Now, Aiden says, worried about my running back too, looking for an upgrade. Any ideas? I mean, this is like an easy way to do it. If you're looking at the draft sheets that we have laid out, like definitely in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, which this is, like you are incentivized to maybe not build around as much wide receiver depth and picking up Genty, especially if Myers is gone and you just have additional targets being flooded to him. I love this idea if you'd be able to pull this off. Yeah, again, especially in that league format of yours specifically. Let me see if we have any more of these quick questions to answer. And then we'll pivot over and we'll start doing some team reviews. So Lion says the other quarterback is a super flex, which we're definitely going to be playing, even if it's a tough matchup against the Chiefs. It's a deep starting lineup. This is or I guess it's not. Maybe we just put this in wrong. So from here on out, like if you wanted to, you'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. I'm not even going to try. But when you fill out your start set questions, just put like 2 empty running back spots and then you put your running back options underneath. Like how you filled it out is like, hey, this is my starting lineup, if that makes sense. Just now that you've done it once and you've seen how it looks on my end, it'll probably be easier for you when you do it again. Anyway, if I was starting 2 running backs, I'm going to be going with Kenneth Walker and Tyrone Tracy with this running back room. Wide receiver, if I'm starting 2 of them, I'm going to be going with T. Higgins, Ladd McConkey. And then for the flex, we're going to take DJ Moore. And then at tight end, I'm going to go TJ Hawkinson over Loveland. If you needed a second flex, I would probably go ahead and take, that'd be tough if you need a second flex spot. Actually, we're going to go, DJ Moore's in the first flex. Second flex, I guess we'd be going with Stevenson. Even though I'd not be a big fan of that. You know what could happen with Myers, and I think about it? A perfect landing spot for Myers. The Jets would be perfect. The Jets need a second wide receiver so bad. It would screw Jacoby Myers in fantasy. But Panthers fan sent in a question. This is Kenneth Walker and DeAndre Swift versus Cam Scatterbo and Brock Bowers. It's Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is in a completely different tier than these running backs. And do you have enough running back firepower with Bucky Irving, Trevion Henderson, JCM, Rashad White, and then Cam Scatterbo to get it done? So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll take the Bowers side of this. Now, Bryce coming through with starting lineup question. We're going to take Dallas Goedert over Dalton Kincaid. Running back, Derrick Henry, Hampton are auto starts. Wide receiver, Lamb's an auto start in a bad matchup. Evans is an auto start as well. Down in the flex, we really got to consider Devonta Smith or Tony Pollard. I'm going to be going with Smith. I think Pollard's going to be our guy in a lot of matchups, especially when you have Spears injured. The difficulty is he has to play the Denver Broncos. Okay. So let's pull up some team reviews. We'll get back to the simple questions in a second, but let's try to knock out some of these reviews. I know this one's Dynasty. There are a couple Dynasty ones that we have saved at the top that we need to get to. But this one is a redraft, and this is a super shallow redraft format, so it's going to be perfect to use as an example of like how you can sometimes just absolutely abuse your league settings. And Kobe, really appreciate you. Let me hook you up with a couple free trade questions just in case there's anything you want to follow up here. We'll send you over a free trade question and a free start sit as well. But it's an 18 PPR format. I want to get better at tight end, but I don't know how to at the moment. I like my quarterback and running back. I think my wide receiver room is about average. So looking at your team in this ESPN league, you're number one in the power rankings, like on the site. So I think you should feel pretty damn good about your team in general. Sitting at quarterback, yeah, we have Jaden Daniels. So realistically, quarterback, we're great. We have the fourth best quarterback room in this league. Running back, we have the best running back room in this league with Bijan Robinson, Amari Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt. The only hesitation that I would possibly bring up here is the fact that you are just loaded up with so many of these rookies, right? So you have Hampton, Henderson, Caleb, JCM, and Tet McMillan. You're sitting with 5 viable players that are rookies. So I wouldn't fault you whatsoever if you were a little nervous to start the year. And honestly, this team may start a little bit slow, but you're going to assume that this team gets better as the season goes on. But going over to receiver, we have Brian Thomas, A.J. Brown, Tet McMillan, Jalen Waddle, Ricky Pearsall, Josh Downs, Khalil Shakir. And then going over to tight end, we have George Kittle. So the big thing that I want to mention here is let's look at the waiver wire and just all these options that are sitting. You have Javonte, Braylon Allen, Trey Benson. Wide receiver, Darnell Mooney, Shaheed Ayuk, Bateman, Luther Burden, Marvin Mims. Tight end, you have Loveland. So for me, whenever I look at an 8-team league like this, I have zero interest in wide receiver depth pieces. Going ahead and looking at somebody like Khalil Shakir in a 12-team league with 2 flex spots, it's like, oh, Shakir is an every down starter, and Shakir is going to be super exciting to build around. But if we are looking at an 8-team league, when are you ever starting Khalil Shakir? You could always go to the waiver wire and pick up a wide receiver that comps similarly. Like right now, you go to the waiver wire and pick up Darnell Mooney. So how we want to be optimizing our roster down here at the very bottom, especially if you were saying that you want to get better at tight end. George Kittle's great. But if you wanted to get better, you could swing for the fences on Loveland. So I would probably go ahead, cut Khalil Shakir, and pick up Loveland, which is crazy. I wouldn't say that in the majority of spots, but in yours, I think you can. And one other thing that I would I'm not going to do it because there's just way too big of a discrepancy in our rankings. But I was going to say you could potentially consider cutting Josh Downs and picking up Javonte Williams. We have Downs ranked way higher in our rankings than Javonte because in a regular league, Downs could be a very viable player for you and move the needle. It's just hard for us to see that happening specifically in an 8-team league like this, where you just have to have so much of a higher ceiling if you are going to make a difference. But I mean, the very boring advice and the very boring thing that we would say here is if you're in a situation where you could get any value whatsoever by trading away these depth wide receivers, like somebody like Jalen Waddle is not that different than a replacement level player in an 8-team league. Very different in a 12-team league. In my league, I would do anything I could to add Jalen Waddle. Realistically, in the Flock League, I drafted Jaden Daniels. I wouldn't have traded Jalen Waddle and Jaden Daniels for Josh Allen in my league. But in your league, if you wanted to go Jalen Waddle and George Kittle and go get Brock Bowers, if you wanted to go Ricky Pearsall and Jaden Daniels and go get Josh Allen, I think you could do it. If you wanted to take Caleb Johnson and Tet McMillan and try to move up and go just get Marvin Harrison, I think you could do it. Those little cheapo 2-for-1 deals where we're overpaying to get the stud. Again, when you go through and look at the trade calculator, try to make sure that it's going to make sense for you. Just throw Javonte Williams onto the side that you'd be getting. Throw Colson Loveland on the side that you'd be getting. Because those are the free players you get to pick up off the waiver wire in those 2-for-1 deals. Overall, I think you have a phenomenal team. You have the number 1 team in the league analyzer. There's not much that I can say. But I think I'd cut Shakir. I think I'd pick up Loveland. I would try to exploit our league settings by trading away Waddle, trading away Caleb Johnson and those 2-for-1 deals to upgrade maybe quarterback and or tight end. But it looks like we had 500 likes, so we will give away some more start sit questions and trade questions. So please just leave your flockfantasy.com username in the live chat right now, and we can give away some more of these questions. Okay. And let's just give it a second. Okay, it looks like we got him in. I'm trying to click one. Okay, the first one we did click was Spog. And we owe Spog some vouchers because he messed up his name earlier. Let's see if he got it right this time. Num Jets. Okay, he got his name correct this time. So we're able to find him. Free account. Let's go ahead and let's get you set up, my friend. So you have a free trade question and a free start sit question on your account now. Please don't sue me. Okay, and let's move this over to our next team. This one's going to be coming out from Ryan. This is another ESPN league where it's another team that's number one in the league analyzer. Let me hook you up with a couple free questions just to make sure if there's anything you want to follow up with here. Really appreciate you, of course. Saying, hey, Mason, thanks for all the help and the hard work. Put my team through the ringer, but I think we crushed. Well, yeah, I mean, you're sitting here with the number one team in the league. This is going to be a little bit different than the last team that we looked at. Now, it's only a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. It's a start 7 league, so the depth here is still not going to matter much, but those super exciting names that we could get off the waiver wire, they're going to be a little more limited here. Like the names that you can get off waivers in this league are like Byshell Tootin, Dylan Sampson, Britton Strange, Michael Penix, the Big Q, Trey Harris, Isaiah Likely, Elijah Arroyo, and Miles Sanders. So when we're looking at what we have with this league, it's not like we're in a spot where we can just say, okay, do anything you can to open a roster spot and we can go pick up Javonte Williams for free. First thing is just cycling through the waiver wire here. I personally would prefer Jonnu Smith over Zach Ertz. I don't know if I'm alone with this. But can y'all please let me know in the chat right now, who would you rather have this season? Would you rather have Jonnu Smith or Zach Ertz? I personally have Jonnu higher in my rankings. And as we wait for them to say that, Josh Allen, obviously, there's nothing we're going to do at quarterback. I mean, I have Allen on my team as well. You don't need to roster a second guy. We can use that extra roster spot there at either wide receiver or running back, exactly how you are doing. But we got Ertz, Jonnu, Ertz, Strange, Jonnu, Ertz, Jonnu, Ertz, Jonnu. So it looks like most people are on your side and most people would rather have Zach Ertz as well. So maybe you don't need to make that pivot. But the main thing that we have a problem with this team is if we go ahead and we look at what we are doing when it comes to the running back room. I mean, long-term running back's going to be fine. Long-term running back's in a good spot, because RJ Harvey is eventually going to be the starting running back for the Denver Broncos. The difficulty with this is he's not going to be reliable week 1. So if we can't rely on Harvey early in the season, like, you are really contingent on what is going to be the Pacheco year. If Isaiah Pacheco comes through and he repeats what he did last season, if that injury carries over into this year, you're screwed. At least early in the year, because Spears is injured as well. We don't exactly know what the Benson role is going to be. But if Pacheco performs well and he goes back to having that same role, you should be in a really good situation. Now, wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Terry McLaurin, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins. So we have a bunch of rookies here as well. Unless we just have a couple rookies at the very bottom end. So I think with this team, you don't have the depth to make trades right now in terms of making improvements inside the starting lineup. Because, like, we don't know if we can trust Matthew Golden early in the season. We don't know if we can trust Jaden Higgins early in the season. We don't know if we can trust RJ Harvey early in the year. I would say once we get a breakout, whether that's from RJ Harvey, whether that's from Matthew Golden, or whether that's from Jaden Higgins, then we would have the expendable piece where we can potentially go ahead and we can try to sell Terry McLaurin and Jake Ferguson in a 2-for-1 deal where we can try to go out there and get George Kittle. Which long-term, that's probably what we are trying to do, considering the fact this 2 wide receiver single flex league is just difficult when we have all the rookies and the players that we don't know if we can bank on early in the year. Dear God, is there anything that we could do with this team? I don't even want to make like a 2-for-1 deal to upgrade the wide receiver position, just given the fact that we may end up needing like a wide receiver like Terry McLaurin or Ricky Pearsall to be an additional trade piece, say in week 3. If we go through the first 2 weeks and Isaiah Pacheco looks like he's not cutting it for us, and RJ Harvey's not ready and Dobbins is still the starter, you may need to have Ricky Pearsall and you may need to flip him for a running back at that point. But I don't want to make that trade right now, because what happens if Harvey breaks out early? What happens if Pacheco is good to go? So as we sit now, I mean, you're in a situation in which we have the running back, wide receiver, quarterback value. The problem's going to be like only tight end. And I don't know if we have the production early in the season to justify us trading away one of these veterans to get an upgrade at the tight end position. Like, I would throw out some random crap. I would throw out a Ricky Pearsall, Jake Ferguson deal for George Kittle. I would throw out Matthew Golden and Jake Ferguson for George Kittle. I would throw out Jaden Higgins and Jake Ferguson for TJ Hawkinson for Sam Laporta. I would throw Matthew Golden and Ferguson for Sam Laporta. But the expectation would be that we probably don't have those people saying yes. I would send those offers now. I would hold off until later in the year. And then once we have some of those rookies breaking out, then at that point, I think you can really go out there and make some plays. But in reality, I think you just drafted a great team. We're number 1 in the league analyzer. But I did hook you up with some of those free questions. So please, if you have any like trades that come across your table that you'd like me to take a look at, I would be super happy to take a look at it for you, my friend. But I see Ivan in the chat says, can you check if my team downloads Ivan 10 on the team review? I saw that it did not previously. So here's what I'm going to do, my friend. I'm going to hook you up with another free team review. Like another team review voucher. I'm going to mark yours as complete. Do you mind trying to go and resubmit it right now? Let me know when you resubmit it, and I'll see when you submit it again if it loads that time. But as we wait, let's go ahead and let's get this going for Machine Gun Cuddy. Or actually, as we wait for that, let's see if we had any more like the basic questions come in. That would be the start sets, the trade, and the super messages. And then we'll wait for Ivan's potential team. Okay, so here are a couple trade questions that have come in. This one's we're trading Kamara, Pacheco, Devonta Smith for Jefferson. It's a little bit of a deeper format. You're saying that he may add a depth piece. But yeah, this is a 12-team format. Like Jalen Coker's being rostered right now. So I'm assuming that the waiver wire is going to be pretty ugly. The waiver wire right now, you have like Chris Rodriguez is the best name. Yeah, so waivers, absolutely disgusting. And like guys like Pacheco and Devonta Smith are going to make a pretty big difference. I would say just because of your league settings, it would be difficult to do this without getting a player in return. Like this guy's rostering freaking Kenneth Gainwell, right? So, I mean, you don't need anything massive, but just getting like Ramondre Stevenson and Xavier Legette with how weak your waiver wire is, I think this would make it where I definitely want Justin Jefferson, but it'd be a little bit tough to make the deal and then all of a sudden have to be going and picking up like Kenneth Gainwell type players off waivers. Okay. Spug says, my entire week has been made. Winning the 500 like sweepstakes has to be a top 2 moment for me. Mind you, I have 3 kids. He said top 2 moment and not 2. Mind you, I have 3 kids. It's hilarious, my friend. But yeah, hit the like button if y'all want us to do more free giveaways where we send those start set questions and trade questions out for free. Okay, now 405 Seth. Here, this is Tony Pollard and George Kittle versus Tracy, Kenneth Walker, and Tucker Kraft. I'd rather have Kittle over Walker. I'd rather have Pollard over Tracy, and I don't think Kraft is bridging the gap for me, so I'm going to go with Kittle and Pollard. And I don't think it's close enough for us to use like team construction as a tie break. Now, LJL coming through. This is Jordan Mason, Nico Collins versus Bucky Irving and Jamison Williams. Give me Nico over Bucky, Jamison over Mason. Pretty fair deal. 14-team format. 14-team format. I actually know it's a pretty shallow league in terms of the amount of players being rostered. So the waiver wire actually has like Luther Burden on it right now. Who's on your team currently? Woody Marks. I guess running backs just thin. So yeah, with our running back room being this thin, I think we go Bucky Irving, Jamison Williams with it being a 14-team format. But once you make that move, I wouldn't fault you for cutting Woody Marks and picking up Luther Burden. Okay, Rage Cage coming through. This is Kyler, Taylor, Harrison versus Purdy, Pollard, Nico. So Kyler over Purdy, but that's not going to be the main difference-making pieces in the trade. Really, it comes down to Jonathan Taylor, Marvin Harrison versus Tony Pollard and Nico Collins. Looks like this is actually, no, the team's not linked, so I can't guarantee that this is a deeper league. Let me put this in the trade calculator real quick. Okay. So they receive Kyler, Taylor, Harrison, and we receive Purdy, Pollard, Nico. All right, let's go ahead and let's see. Split right down the middle is a fair deal. CyberGoat says right side all day. Tonio says Kyler has the rushing upside. I don't think the quarterback's what should determine who wins this deal. Can y'all spam the chat? What side would y'all rather have? Would you rather the Jonathan Taylor side or the Nico Collins side? You rather have the Jonathan Taylor side or the Nico Collins side of this? Okay. We got left, right, 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 left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right. I'm sorry, that was left, right, right, left, right, 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 left. Looks like most people are on the Nico Collins side. I think it's relatively close. I think it kind of comes down to what does Marvin Harrison turn into. But honestly, just kind of going to be up to you there. But I think Ivan said he sent us his team again. So let's see if we can go ahead and find this for Ivan. Actually, we have, we're going to have to, let me pull this up on the My Reviews page, Ivan. As long as you're here right now, I don't think we need to do it in stream mode. We can do it on the My Reviews page. I know that you were already waiting and it wasn't loading properly. So as I pull up Ivan's team, and we're full screen here, I will remind you, if you get the season pass, you get access to literally everything on the site. All the updated rankings and tiers, both weekly, rest of season, we're going to be tinkering with every single day during the year. And on top of that, if you use code FLOCK, you'll be getting some free start set questions and trade questions on top of that. And we have so many team reviews that, dear God, this is, oh my gosh. Yeah, we are going to live stream for like 4 or 5 hours tomorrow. And Ivan, what platform is your league? Because it's not loading for me here either. Ivan, would you mind submitting just screenshots of your team? Ivan says it's Yahoo. I have no idea why that's happening. But it looks like we hit 600 likes. So please spam the chats of your flockfantasy.com username. And we will hook you up with, we'll hook someone up with a free start set and a free trade. I'm going to mark you complete, Ivan, and I'm going to give you another free voucher real quick. Do you mind submitting screenshots and then staying in the chat, and I'll get to yours tonight for sure. And we will make sure we can go back and forth, and I'll ask you a bunch of stuff and we'll get you set up. And I'm going to get you also a free trade question and a free start set question as well, because I'm sorry for this being such a pain in the butt. I don't know why this isn't loading for you. But Okay, let's pick somebody random here. We got Mr. Trog, who always lets us know if there's something wrong with the site. So let's get you set up with, if I can find you here, Mr. Trog. Okay. Mr. Trog, that's right. I do not see it here, my friend. I don't know if you used code FLOCK when you signed up. But this is the only Mr. T. Let's see if we can find next Meatloaf. Next meat. And again, I can only find you if you used code FLOCK, which found next Meatloaf. Okay, this free trade question your way and a free start set question as well. So you should be set up. And let me pull stream mode back up and we get to some more of those questions, more of those teams. And let's see. So we are looking at Machine Gun Cuddy here. Says this is almost a flex showing off the team, but I am very weak at tight end. Do we make moves or keep the team intact and just work waivers for tight end? Okay, so you know this is a flex. We are number one in the league analyzer. And this is a league where we can start 8 players weekly. So overall, the depth is to a point where it's not like tight end is going to dominate the percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. So I do think that this is a format where it would be viable to stream tight end. Now, with that being said, we are also a little weak at quarterback. I'm not going to say we're the worst team in the league at quarterback, but it's a 10-teamer and we have Bo Nix. Like, I would say that Bo Nix is, in general, low-end QB1 for a 10-team format. But looking at running back and looking at wide receiver, this is where all our values banked in. We have Chase Brown, Amari Hampton, James Conner, David Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins, Braylon Allen at running back. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Bryant Thomas, JSN, Xavier Worthy, Egbuka, and Keon Coleman. So assuming we can start 6 non-quarterbacks and tight ends, we're starting Chase Brown, Amari Hampton, Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas, JSN. And then we have to choose every week between James Conner, David Montgomery, Xavier Worthy, and Egbuka. And that's assuming Judkins is a 0. That's assuming Keon Coleman's a 0. So realistically, what I would look to do here is I think it would make a ton of sense for you to try to sell either a running back or receiver for a quarterback or a tight end. The other thing that I would probably look to do is just with the waiver wire, we have Javonte Williams sitting out there. I would cut Braylon Allen for Javonte if we get to next week and Breece Hall hasn't been traded. So that's an easy move to make, but I would try to target some of these teams that have the elite quarterbacks. This team has Lamar Jackson. Their running back room is James Cook, DeAndre Swift, Tyron Tracy, Tank Bigsby. I would go to them and say, hey, I'll give you James Conner and Bo Nix for Lamar. See what they say. Maybe they ask for Hampton and Bo Nix. And honestly, your team's good enough where you maybe should consider it. I would offer them, hell, wide receiver, they have Zay Flowers, Khalil Shakir, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Rice is their wide receiver 2. I would go to them and say, hey, I'll give you JSN and Bo Nix for Lamar Jackson. Offer them the same deal for Brock Bowers. Go, hey, I'll give you JSN and Loveland for Bowers. I'll give you Hampton and Loveland for Bowers. I'll give you JSN and Bo Nix for Lamar. 100% go out there and try to make that play. Another team that has an elite quarterback is here, the Josh Allen team. They have the 7th best running back room in the league. You're not going to be able to trade for a tight end with them, but if you want to go, hey, man, I'll give you James Conner and Bo Nix, give me Josh Allen. I'll give you JSN and Bo Nix, give me Josh Allen. Those are deals you should send out. Like, can we see the team that has the elite tight end? This team has Trey McBride. They're pretty strong at running back and wide receiver because they punted they punted quarterback. But I'll go ahead. It can't hurt. Hey, I'll give you a JSN and Loveland. Give me back Trey McBride. You still have Brian Thomas, Jamar Chase, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and Worthy, wide receiver 3. So I would send out those offers. Worst case scenario, they say no, and we have the best team in the league still. Let me make sure I hook you up with some free questions that you can send my way, but I would try to just spam those weaker teams, just garbage deals to get the elite quarterback or the elite tight end off them. More likely than not, they say no. But again, if that is the case, then we are right back to where we were with the best team in the league. But I really appreciate you and hope I was able to help you out in some way. Now, Simon, this team isn't loading. I wonder if it's Yahoo rate limiting us and I can't pull Yahoo teams at the moment. That may be what it is. Let me see if I can see any clear. Yeah, that's what it is. I can't see Yahoo teams right now. I'll have to tell the devs because Yahoo is limiting us at the moment. So we're going to have to skip by the Yahoo teams and we'll get back to them. Okay, so Gnarls coming through says, hey, Mason, not sure if I dug myself into a hole going wide receiver, but I couldn't let Jefferson drop further than 205. Any obvious trades or waiver wire moves? Love the content and good luck this year. Thank you so much, my friend. But here you're saying they hit the second Bauer. That's the team name. Well, we are currently third in the league analyzer. This is an ESPN league. If we are looking at the structure of this league, it is crazy that there is such a discrepancy between the top teams and the bottom teams. This is typically what the league analyzer will look like when you're halfway through the season and we've had some players get injured. We've had some players bust. We've had some players break out. But for it to be this way right after the draft is kind of crazy. And we are in that little group of the top 3 juggernaut teams. This is a super shallow format where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, and it's a 10-team league. So the very clear play that you absolutely have to make is you have a lot of value on this team, but it's not constructed properly. Which I hate to say it, but we have Lamb, Jefferson, Smith, just auto locks in our starting lineup. You will never start Tet, Waddle, or Judy. I mean, maybe you get Tet in over Devonta Smith, but realistically, you're never starting Waddle. You're never starting Judy. Like, you absolutely have to go through and you have to try to make any play that we can to open up roster spots and bring running backs in. So, I mean, we have the elite quarterback with Jaden Daniels. It's not like we're hurting at running back. We have Hampton and James Conner, but is there a world in which we can sell Jalen Waddle or, I mean, Tet McMillan and Tucker Kraft and go get George Kittle? Devonta Smith and Tucker Kraft and go get George Kittle? Could we sell Jalen Waddle and James Conner and go get James Cook? Jalen Waddle and James Conner and go get Alvin Kamara? This is a full PPR format. And then every time you make one of those deals, selling one of these receivers, because again, with your league settings, they're never going to make a difference for your team. Might as well get some of the points in the lineup, actually. Then just go to the My Teams page, filter by running back, and start picking off some of these top running backs. Pick up Trey Benson, pick up Rashad White, pick up Byshell Tootin, and get these running backs in the bottom end of your roster that are an injury away from making a big-time difference. So, I mean, I think that's the clear play. The difficulty with it, to be honest, is going to be that if you're in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, single flex format, you're not going to have a ton of teams in your league that really need help at wide receiver. Like, you're kind of going to be okay at receiver for the most part, or at least most teams are. So selling receivers into a market like this is going to be tough, but we kind of need to do it anyway. If you wanted to make something a little more boring and just try to pivot from Lamb to Gibbs, Lamb to Bijan, I think that's something you could do. If you wanted to pivot from like Jefferson, the thing is I don't want to down tier in a 10-team league like this because then we're having to cut somebody exciting like Spears. So yeah, I'm trying to sell a couple of these receivers. Really, anybody not named Lamb or Jefferson. Obviously, I'd sell Lamb and or Jefferson. 1-for-1 swaps for Barkley, for Bijan, for Gibbs. Balance out the roster just a bit and make it where some of these receivers could have a chance of hitting our lineup. But really appreciate you. Really hope I was able to help you out in some way here, my guy. And of course, I know you've been with us forever now, so thank you so much for that. But our next team is going to be Devin P. says, first draft of the year was pick 8. How do we do, Senior Dodd? So Raider Nation, we are currently 4th in the league analyzer. Definitely a more balanced league power rankings in general. I think that you do have some exciting waiver wire plays here at the running back position I'd like to pick up with Braylon Allen and Trey Benson. But quarterback, we are probably the weakest team in the league. We have Baker Mayfield and Baker Mayfield only. It looks like most people are rostering 2 quarterbacks based off what's currently sitting out there on waivers. So you have like Stroud, Lawrence, Michael Penix. So if we're starting Baker every week, regardless of matchup, obviously last year that was great. But if you have any regression with the passing volume, it's going to be tough, especially with all the injured receivers. Dalton Kincaid, we have the worst tight end room in this league. It's a single flex format. Like Igbuka, Golden, Juwan Jennings, these are guys that may not produce at the beginning of the year. RJ Harvey's not going to produce at the beginning of the year. Obviously, we have the best wide receiver room in this league with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas, Ted McMillan, but I almost think that it has a similar issue to the team that we just looked at, where in your league setting specifically, it's going to be very difficult for you to get these guys in your lineup. So if we were to look at making a move with a team like this, I think my first thing is, can I sell Brian Thomas and Dalton Kincaid for Brock Bowers? You make that one simple move, that solves a lot of these issues, and you're able to go pick up Braylon Allen off the waiver wire for free. So first offer I send is Brian Thomas, Dalton Kincaid for Brock Bowers. Second offer I send is Ted McMillan, Baker Mayfield. I'm going to send it for every elite quarterback. Ted McMillan, Baker Mayfield for Josh Allen. It's probably going to get rejected, but we're going to send it anyway. Ted McMillan and Baker Mayfield for Lamar Jackson. Probably going to get rejected. We're sending it anyway. Ted McMillan, Baker Mayfield for Jaden Daniels. Ted McMillan, Baker Mayfield for Jalen Hurts. Then we bring up these depth receivers into potentially making a difference for us. We open up a roster spot. We're able to pick up Braylon Allen and or Trey Benson off the waiver wire for free. And again, like, it's very nerve-wracking. You can't really sell these running backs because RJ Harvey's not going to be startable at the beginning of the year. And I understand your thought process rostering Jerome Ford, where it's like, hey, if I really need to hold on to a potential week 1 starter, Ford's going to be the guy over Braylon Allen, over Benson, even if the other running backs have so much of a higher ceiling in their range of outcomes. So it's an interesting case with your team, but I think just trading for that elite onesie here in that single flex format again is going to make it where your value distribution is a lot better at wide receiver, and you're able to roster more of those bottom end running backs. But Feared Reaper coming through, and okay, this is a dynasty team. So we're going to save this team for a dynasty stream. This is a dynasty team as well. So we're going to save that for a dynasty stream. JB says, let me know what you think I can do to improve the team. Thanks, my guy. Thank you. And let me hook you up with some free questions. That way we can make sure that we get you set up through the rest of the year. But this is the number 1 team in the league analyzer, so that is really nice to see. This is an 8-team league. Now, with this being an 8-team league, obviously the waiver wire is going to be loaded. What I do like, however, is this is an 8-team format that is a super flex league, and at the same time, you start 9 players. So you're going to be starting 6 non-quarterback tight ends. You start 2 quarterbacks and 1 tight end option. So here, when it comes to quarterback, we have the combination of Joe Burrow, Drake May, Jordan Love. In a 12-team Superflex league, this would be phenomenal. In an 8-team Superflex league, this is questionable. Looking at the waiver wire options at QB, you have Tua out here. I do think that Tua, honestly, is probably somebody that we want to be rostering at this point. So if you could maybe go through and cut Dalton Kincaid. No, because I mean, Geno's out there, Daniel Jones out there, so there are multiple starters. You don't need to pick up Tua. It's just kind of crazy to see Tua sitting out there on the waiver wire in a super flex league. But what do you have available at tight ends? Tight end, you have like Ferguson. Wide receiver, you have Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, Keon Coleman. Running back, we have Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, J.K. Dobbins. I would probably cut Charbonnet and pick up Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. And if we are looking at potential trade, I think I want to be upgrading quarterback here with this super flex setup. Like going through and looking at what we have from some of the other teams that are really strong at QB. This team's stronger at quarterback than us, weaker at receiver. Is there a world in which we can get to Lamar? Is there a world in which we can sell Jackson Smith and Jigba and Drake May for Lamar Jackson? If so, I'm sending that offer. Is there a world in which we can send JSN and Drake May or JSN and Jordan Love for Jaden Daniels, for Josh Allen, for Jalen Hurts? We'd make any of those swaps because then again, you just get to pick up Josh Downs off the waiver wire for legitimately free. And then same thing. I know this is like the third straight team that we've said this with, but these shallower formats, it's what you want to be doing. I would be trying to send A.J. Brown and Tucker Kraft for Brock Bowers. I'd be trying to send Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tucker Kraft for Trey McBride. And then if you were able to get the elite tight end, like if you were able to send JSN and Tucker Kraft for McBride or A.J. Brown and Tucker Kraft for Bowers, then at that point you would open up one roster spot naturally, and then you could just go ahead and let go of Dalton Kincaid if you had yourself the elite tight end. So naturally, you're going to open up two roster spots in that case, and you can pick up Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt and Josh Downs for free, or Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt and Tua for free. And you're not really taking a hit in what you're doing in the flex spots because you still have like Amari and Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Sutton, Igbuka to put in the flex. And I don't think you need to wait to make those offers or make those deals until the rookies break out, because realistically, I think you're going to be in a situation in which like you have startable pieces kind of regardless here. So I love how someone says these are how you get banned by your league mates, as if JSN and McBride aren't drafted right next to each other. Literally, JSN went ahead of McBride in the flock league, as if AJ Brown and Brock Bowers aren't drafted next to each other. So, yeah, I'm going to go through and send all those offers. Running back, we're chilling. I mean, here you have the number one running back room in this league. And in a shallower format like this, Amari Hampton could turn into a league winner. So can Chase Brown. So can Bijan Robinson. So I think you're in a really good spot to go ahead and try to make those pivots over. Just similar to the previous teams. And I know it's like boring advice that we've given 3 times now, but it's an 8-team league. Like the advice is, and the roster construction that's optimal is kind of building around that elite tight end. Now, this next team's going to be another dynasty from Team Swan, so we're actually going to ignore that, save it for a dynasty stream. This Yahoo league is Yahoo's rate limiting us. This is an ESPN screenshot. That's a Yahoo league. Rasheed Rice. This is another 8-team ESPN league. So let's answer this one for Rasheed Rice right now. Says, was a little nervous about going both quarterback and tight end early, but I like how it turned out. So this is exactly what you want to do. If it is an 8-team league, start 8. You want the elite quarterback. You want the elite tight end. You dominated your league mates. You did exactly what you should have. We have the elite quarterback with Josh Allen. Perfect. Positional advantage. We have the elite tight end with George Kittle. Perfect. Positional advantage. We go over, and you were still able to get McCaffrey, Lamb, running back, receiver. We still have the 2nd best wide receiver room in this league, the 5th best running back room in this league. And I know it may seem like, why are we always just clicking the top team to look at? And it may seem like it's just sorted based on whoever submitted the team. But this stuff is sorted based on the power rankings with the site. So it's just that it looks like most people submitting their teams have the best team in their league. But if we're looking at what we can do from here, Harvey, Caleb Johnson, Judkins, they are not going to be startable at the beginning of the year. Tet McMillan, Igbuka, Addison may start slow as well. I think that there are very easy like waiver wire moves I'd make if you're going to have to roster Judkins on your bench and you don't have a dedicated IR slot for suspended players, I would cut Judkins. I would pick up Jordan Mason. I'm also going to be cutting Keon Coleman in favor of picking up Josh Downs. I don't want to roster a backup quarterback. I don't want to roster a backup tight end. And let me hook you up with some free questions because I have literally nothing to say. You're the best team in this league. You set your team up optimally with the elite quarterback, with the elite tight end, understanding that you are still going to be able to find running back and wide receiver value easily in an 8-team league. So I think you absolutely crushed, and honestly, congrats on having a monster. Now, let's move this over to our next team. This is coming out from Chris Peacock. Now, this is a deeper league. This is a 12-team start 8 format. So it's either going to be a start 3 receiver, 1 flex, or start 2 wide receiver and 2 flex. But we just hooked you up with some free questions, and let's check your team out. I think we've already looked at a team from Chris Peacock. No? I think there's a chance that we have, or maybe we hooked him up with some free questions, or we did something. But anyway, we are the number 1 team in the league analyzer. Yet again, you'll love to see it. And this is that deeper format where you are not as incentivized to build around the elite quarterback and the elite tight end, just because it is going to be a little bit harder to find those free running backs and wide receivers off the waiver wire. We go ahead and we look here. The running backs on waivers are the Browns guys, Miles Sanders, and Ray Davis. The wide receivers that you have available on the waiver wire to you are Cedric Tillman, Quentin Johnston, Xavier Legette. So yeah, like wide receiver and running back is a little bit questionable. If you need to start 6 of these guys weekly, it's nice to have this kind of depth. As our week 1 starting lineup is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, JSN, Terry McLaurin, and then we're starting like Jamison Williams, and we kind of got to figure out between Igbuka, Rome, Henderson. I probably start Henderson week 1. But it's really nice not having to see these guys break out. Instead, you get the upside where, we get an Igbuka breakout and a Rome breakout. Then we have the expendable wide receiver, and then we can try to trade JSN and Dalton Kincaid and go get Trey McBride. Then we can try to trade Terry McLaurin and Bo Nix and go get Jalen Hurts. But you don't want to be doing that right now because it's that deeper format, but you have the upside to do it later, but you've covered your bases kind of regardless at running back and receiver. In terms of if there is anything for us to do with the waiver wire pickups at this point, if you were all in on Bo Nix, I think that you could decide to maybe go ahead and pick up McCarthy in favor of dropping Tajay Spears with him having the ankle injury. If we wanted to go through and look at a different tight end off the waiver wire, I mean, I'm not really feeling the need to pick up Hunter Henry. We have the 2 anchor running backs with Gibbs, Achane. Our starting lineup is just so damn strong, and we have the upside throughout the bench as well. And this is back-to-back teams where, I mean, you just pretty much did exactly what you'd want to for your format particularly. And I hope everybody watching this can kind of like learn like what it takes to draft a team where you are number 1 in your league with the power rankings. Like you saw the previous team, it was an 8-team league. What did they do? They took Josh Allen and George Kittle. They got the elite quarterback, the elite tight end. You see this team, it's a 12-team double flex format. What do? They slam running backs and wide receivers early, and they punt quarterback and they punt tight end. So, let me hook you. I know we already hooked you up with some free questions, but let me hook you up with another free trade voucher because I don't want you to do anything with this team right now. I think you go into the season with this team as is. You're set up to crush. And we wait until we get an Igbuka breakout, a Rome breakout, or a Henderson breakout. We wait for one of these players to turn into every week starters. And then we have the expendable depth where we can go out there and we can upgrade a onesie. But until then, we're just going to be waiting for the rookies. But I really appreciate you. And we got Zach out here saying, don't know if you've heard, but Batman Bucky is taking over the community. Hopefully he's saving the community like a real superhero. The way you're saying it sounds like he's a villain, my friend. But Ivan says, hopefully submitted correctly. Let's see if we can go ahead and find this for you, Ivan. So let me refresh this real quick. Zach, I don't know how it is on your end right now, but we are drowning in team reviews. Literally drowning. So I'm going to have to pull this up on the My Reviews page because the stream mode's not going to go that far back. So let me just make sure that we got this good to go. And I have a meeting with the devs tomorrow morning, and I will talk to them. And I know we reached out to Yahoo and said like, hey, is there a way that we can stop getting rate limited? And we'll see what they say. Because I don't remember what our workaround was last year for it. But I have a connection at Yahoo, so I can probably just reach out to them as well. Okay. So let's see. We got this from Ivan. And perfect. So, okay, this looks really good in this case. I mean, obviously it's not ideal that I can't pull it up, but it looks like if you've linked your Yahoo team already, you're kind of good. So let's see. We got this from Ivan. Appreciate you, my friend. And let's move this around. So what is our team? So we are the number one team in the league analyzer. And clearly the waiver wire function is not working here. Ivan, can you please let me know what are the league settings? Oh, okay, so it looks like for whatever reason, this team at 12, I guess, has unassigned players. So you can see their value chart at 0, and their team is just loading into the waiver wire. But this is a 12-team league. Ivan, can you let me know, is this a one quarterback format, or is this a single flex league, or is this a double flex league? Because we're sitting here number one spot in the league analyzer, all the value in the world. We have the elite quarterback with Josh Allen. So obviously when we have Allen, we are not looking to add in another quarterback. We are perfectly fine there. Looking at what we are doing with Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Ted McMillan, Josh Downs, Jaden Higgins. I mean, we are sitting with the best wide receiver room in the league by far. My only concern would be if this is a single flex format. I think that you're just going to have too many points on your bench, not enough in your starting lineup. If it's a single flex format, I for sure think you need to be making a trade, trying to move off of like AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, go get Brock Bowers. Making a play where we send Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, and we try to move up and go get Amari Hampton. But if it's a double flex league, I think you're in a spot where we can start Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Ted McMillan every single week with Josh Allen at quarterback, and I don't see how our league mates catch up to it in the 12-teamer. Ivan says 12-team, half PPR, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, double flex, 1 tight end. So definitely much better knowing that this is a double flex league in comparison if this is a single flex league. Because again, going right back to what we were saying, how are your league mates competing with this in that case? Ivan, can you please go to the waiver wire section and let me know, outside of like the bug where that team is just kind of going and getting loaded into the waiver wire, can you let me know who is available to you to pick up off waivers at running back? Like, what are the best running backs on the waiver wire specifically? Now, looking at what we have specifically with our bench, like, I don't know who we would drop between Travis Etienne, Jaden Higgins, Dallas Goedert. Like, obviously it'd be nice for us to go out there and pick up an additional running back. Like if we have JCM sitting out there, if we have a Trey Benson, Byshell Tootin. But coming up with somebody to cut is going to be a little difficult here. I guess Judkins, if you're not able to put him in the IR, you could move on from for relative ease. Josh Downs, you're just simply not going to get enough trade value until he starts producing. He just goes too late in drafts, and his rankings on a lot of those just typical draft platforms like ESPN, Yahoo is just way too low, even Sleeper, which I know this is a Yahoo draft, and you probably got Josh Downs for literally free. I think Downs will be an interesting sell at one point for you. Just the thing is, you're not going to be able to do so anytime soon. Ivan says, double flex league, I drafted AJ Brown over Chase Brown, did a fumble. I don't think so. Not in a double flex. If it was since it's a half PBR format, I probably would opt to take Chase Brown. So if you could offer the Chase Brown owner, go like, hey, I'll give you AJ Brown for Chase Brown. Like, based on how strong your wide receiver room is at this point, I think you're completely fine to go ahead and make that swap. But I wouldn't stress about it whatsoever, because week one, I mean, you're able to throw out a couple running backs, and we still have running backs with upside. My main thing would just be trying to find a way to roster more of them. So obviously, like if you could trade Devontae Adams and Dallas Goedert and go get George Kittle, let's do it, even if it's a double flex league. If you could trade like Josh Downs and Dallas Goedert and go get TJ Hawkinson, let's do it. If you could trade Jaden Higgins and Dallas Goedert and Josh Downs and Dallas Goedert, go get Laporta, go get Hawkinson, trade Jaden Higgins and Dallas Goedert and go get Tyler Warren. Like I'd make all those moves specifically for the purpose of us just being able to roster more running backs and have the upside of hitting on someone off the waiver wire. So overall, you have the number one team in the league by a decent little margin as well. Like this looks like a league chart that, again, is halfway through the season. Where it's like, oh, okay, you hit on some hidden gems in your draft that blew up way more than people were expecting. But no, to have this kind of value before the season even starts is wild. And honestly, I think the only thing that you could look to do is like those small tight end upgrades or that maybe that 1-for-1 swap when it comes to AJ Brown. But I hope I was able to help you out with this, my friend. I'm sorry for the issue when it comes to Yahoo leagues at the moment, but hopefully we get that sorted out for you sooner rather than later so we don't have to deal with that anymore. But let me move this over to stream mode again, and we are going to get back to answering some of the start sit questions and the trade questions. Okay. Let's move this over. Okay, people are saying we had 700 likes in the stream, so we are going to go ahead and we will give away some free start sit questions and trade questions for people. Just please spam your flockfantasy.com username in the chat right now, and we'll pick somebody randomly and we'll get you a free start sit and a free trade. Okay. Let's wait for everybody to get the memo and start typing in the chats. Okay, we're still going to do the drafts tonight as well. We got Frank 11 coming in, so let's see what Frank has. Frank was telling us our trade offers would never get accepted earlier. So let's see if you can send a trade and you get one done in your league, my friend. Frank 11, can I find you? Do you have an account with promo code FLOCK? Frank 11. Okay, let me refresh this. Frank 11, I got you. Perfect. Free account, but you should now have some vouchers in it, both trade and start sets. And let's go ahead and let's get into our next question. This one coming out from Gnarls again. This saying, got lucky grabbing Jefferson at the... Wait, what? Got lucky grabbing JJ at the 205, but running back room's weak. Should I go through with this? Hell yes. Unbelievable draft. And this would be an incredible trade as well. Like Tracy and Daniels to Josh Allen in a shallow league like yours. Give me Josh Allen. Jefferson for Bijan with how strong you are at wide receiver. Yeah, go with the Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson side. Now, Mini Goopa coming through. Here for the flex, we have Xavier Worthy as the pretty clear play, in my opinion. I think Ibuka has the ceiling to maybe eventually overtake him, but we got to see it before we believe it. Now, Drunk says the super flex, start Devonta Smith or Caleb Williams. We're definitely going to go with Caleb Williams over Devonta Smith in the super flex. And then outside of that, if we were to change anything else in the starting lineup, I would try to get somebody other than Hunter Henry in, but like for our regular flex, we're not switching anything. E. Morales, this trade we're sending Brees for RJ Harvey and Ibuka. It looks like it's a single flex format. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Devonta Smith, Rome, Jamison, Addison. So honestly, you have so many wide receivers that I don't think you need the additional wide receiver depth piece in a shallower format like yours. I think I'd rather just have Brees. Now, Zach coming through with the trade. Here start sit. We are starting Devonta Smith for sure over the rookies week 1, and then we're going to start Olave over the rookies as well. But I think rest of season, you'll probably rather have Ibuka and you'll rather have Travis Hunter, but I'd rather see the production before you get him in immediately. Now, Bruh JB coming through. This is a trade we're sending Chubb and Malik Neighbors for Terry McLaurin and Trey McBride. Neighbors to McBride downgrade, Chubb to McLaurin upgrade, but Neighbors in a completely different tier. I'm going to go with Neighbors here. A. Hernandez is Daniels, Achan, McLaurin versus Terry, McBride, and Burrow. Achan's the best player in the deal. Burrow's the second best. McBride's the third best. Daniels is the fourth. It's a fair deal. It's up to you. What side would y'all rather have on this? My opinion, this is a very fair trade. If it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, give me Joe Burrow. 4-point passing touchdown format, you'd assume that you get the edge with the rushing quarterbacks. Trey says he's grabbing McBride. So somebody says left, right, fair, left, right, left, right, left. So, I mean, if you want to make it, go ahead and do it. In reality, I think it's a fair deal, and it's kind of going to be up to you here. Now, Beto, always happy to have you, my friend, says, hey, Mason, I have the running back depth. Braylon just got put on the waiver wire as well. Do I have the flexibility to do this? So let me remind. So Braylon's on waivers. Afterwards, we would have Bijan, Bucky Irving, Trevion Henderson. Wide receiver, we'd have Lamb, Worthy, Rome. Your team must just be goated, right? We're in the 4 slot, but you make this deal, you're just definitely jumping at 1. And there are other interesting players on the waiver wire too, like Christian Kirk. So yeah, I think we go ahead and do this. I mean, I would be more excited about it if it was like a single flex 10-team league, but I think the value has to be on the Bijan Robinson side of this. Now, Coop Madness coming through, and this is us trading away McCarthy for Stroud, 14-team leagues, that actually matters. JCM for Swift, clear upgrade. Garrett Wilson for Evans, clear upgrade. We're going to go with the clear upgrade with running back and receiver here, even if McCarthy's a slight preference over Stroud. Now, Stay Loose coming through. Here for the flex, we are choosing between Egbuka, Pittman, Wandale, Ramondre, Caleb. So I know we were talking about not wanting to just jam in Egbuka immediately week 1, but Caleb's also not reliable week 1. There's no reason to get excited about starting Ramondre Stevenson. I think you could maybe go Pittman if Downs were to miss, but it seems like Downs is probably good to go week 1 now. Now, Rage Cage coming through. This is Kyler Taylor Harrison versus Purdy, Pollard, Nico. I think we already answered this, no? Yeah, I think we answered this, and we went with the Nico side. Where it's for sure close. Nico's the best player in it. I'm definitely hesitant given the depth of the starting lineup. I think this is another one of those trades that just like kind of the 5th one back that we looked at, that's kind of fair and up to you. But it looks like it's a deeper league, which I'm a little bit nervous about. It looks like our team has 3 tight ends, though. Let's cut a tight end and go pick up a running back. Okay. Now, D Mills, this is Hampton and Stephon Diggs versus Josh Allen. It's a 14-team league, so I'm going to go the Hampton side. Let me just confirm. 14-team league? Yeah. 14-team format. Give me the 2 starters. Give me Hampton and Diggs. Refresh this. And Squirtle Squad here, you're saying need help picking the flex with the week 1 matchups. I think we're going to go with Waddle. Waddle, we have the longer track record than Pearsall. JCM, we're not going to trust week 1. I think really the only other receiver I would consider would be Ricky Pearsall. And if you have no Juwan Jennings, I think you could get Pearsall in. Now, Ivan coming in with the trade of that team we just looked at. This is, it's funny. Why is Yahoo letting us like see your team like this, but not the entire league. But yeah, I mean, this is like the perfect deal for us where we were that strong at wide receiver. Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones, for you to go get Josh Jacobs would be an absolute no-brainer. Beto says, Mesa, could I offer that if I did Gibbs instead of Bijan? Yeah, I mean, Bijan and Gibbs are effectively the same for me. So, and same thing with Barkley. I think you could do any of those deals. I mean, that deal for any of those running backs. Now, Blake is winning, coming through here. Quarterback, I'm going to go Kyler over Dak. Hate the Dak week 1 matchup. We're going to go with Hampton auto start week 1. We're going to go Swift over Pollard. Pollard, I don't like the matchup. Neither do I Javonte. We're going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Brian Thomas auto starts. We are going to be going with Pollard and then probably George Pickens here over Ricky Pearsall. Godwin's obviously not playing week 1. Javonte, horrible matchup against the Eagles, and we can't be confident that he's going to have the workload the way that we can with Tony Pollard. Now, Rich Pedro says, a lot of rookies on my team. We drafted a running back and an elite quarterback early and then used the draft guide to go for upside. How are we looking week 1? I love this in a single flex format. We're going to go Chuba over Pacheco. Wide receiver, we're going to be going with, I don't love that we just have like straight up rookies. We're going to go Tet, Jameson, and then Igbuka. Like, I probably would have taken one fewer rookie wide receiver and somebody that projects to be a little bit of a better option early in the year. But if we can start our year off like 2-2 and then have some of these rookies really taking strides in the second half of the season, you just kind of got to stay alive early in the year, and then you could obviously win in the playoffs. But let me hook you up with another free start sit question, my friend. I know you've been with us forever. But let me refresh this. And I know we still have a lot of team reviews that we need to get through. And I'm going to be probably live streaming for like 4 or 5 hours tomorrow, just answering questions and reviewing teams. And again, if you ever submit a question on flockfantasy.com, you don't even need to be in the live stream to see your answer, because there's going to be a custom link that's sent to you right when I answer your question, that you'll click that link and it'll take you to the exact point that I answered your question. But I need to go ahead and I need to stream some drafts. So I'm going to end this, fill up my water cup, and immediately fire up a draft live stream. I would love for you to hang out with us there. We'll be giving away the free start sit questions and the free trade questions there as well. And again, if you wanted to get access to free start sit questions, free trade questions, the $34 Flock Fantasy Season Pass gets you access to everything on the website, including the updated weekly rankings, rest of season rankings, all the tools, including the trade calculator, the My Teams page, the whole 9 yards. Plus, if you make your account with promo code FLOCK before you buy that season pass, you will get that additional start sit question, trade question vouchers, and we'd be happy to go through and answer those for you. We're going to be streaming Q&As every single day until Christmas. But you can find that link to flockfantasy.com in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. And we will go ahead in this stream, fill up my water cup, and then I'll see y'all in the live stream in hopefully about 5 to 10 minutes.